Hello dear friends, welcome to your favorite channel PVN Science Study. I am Dr. Pradap Naikwade.
In previous lecture we have studied classification of fungi, and today we are going to study a very important fungi, that is Rhizopus. In this lecture we are going to study occurrence, thallus structure, nutrition and systematic position of Rhizopus. And in next lecture we will going to study reproduction in Rhizopus. First of all, we will study occurrence of Rhizopus, and here in these pictures you can see where Rhizopus occurs. Rhizopus is the most common saprophyte found growing on the stale bread, and hence it is commonly known as bread mold. Rhizopus is also found on damp and decaying organic matter like fruits, jellies, jams, vegetables, pickles, etc. Here also you can see that how it is growing on the fruits and vegetables. The three most important factors for the luxuriant growth of the Rhizopus are warmth, moisture and plenty of air. If these factors are available, then the Rhizopus grows very quickly. Now we will study the thallus structure of Rhizopus. So here you can see the figure showing the different parts of Rhizopus thallus, and this is the actual photograph of the Rhizopus. The thallus of Rhizopus is known as mycelium. Mycelium consists of interwoven masses of well-developed profusely branched hyaline hyphae. So here in this figure you can see the mycelium. Mycelium is the network or the interwoven masses of the hyphae. So this is the hyphae and this is mycelium. The wall of hyphae is made up of fungal chitin and not of cellulose as in green plants. The hyphae in mycelium are aseptate and multinucleate, that is cenocytic. So here you can see that no septa are present, and so therefore it is known as aseptate or cenocytic hyphae. It contains many nuclei and so described as multinucleate. The food reserve in Rhizopus is in the form of oil globules. At the early stage of Rhizopus mycelium, it is cottony white as you can see here, but later on it matures and black pinhead-like structures appear, which are the sporangia. Generally these sporangia, they are dark or black in color, and due to the presence of this sporangia, the mycelium appears black in color. As the Rhizopus thallus matures, it is differentiated into three kinds of hyphae, such as rhizoidal hypha, stolon and sporangiophore. So here in this figure we can see the three kinds of hypha. These are the rhizoidal hypha, then these are known as stolons or the stolonal hypha, and this is the sporangiophore. So on this sporangiophore, sporangia are produced. We will see three kinds of hypha one by one. First of all, we will study rhizoidal hyphae. Dear student, this is the actual photograph under microscope of rhizoidal hyphae of Rhizopus, and this is the sketch where we can see that this rhizoidal hypha, they are penetrated inside the substrate. Rhizoidal hyphae, they are also commonly known as holdfast or rhizoids because they look like the rhizoids or the roots. Here as you can see here, the rhizoids are much branched and arise from the lower surface of apparent node-like structures of the hyphae. So this is the node-like structure and from which rhizoidal hyphae are produced. These rhizoidal hyphae penetrate substratum and secrete extracellular enzymes which help in the digestion. So these hypha, they are always in contact with the substratum or the food item or the dead and decaying organic matter. They secrete the extracellular enzymes. Due to the secretion of the extracellular enzymes, the complex food material is converted into simpler sugars and then it is absorbed by this rhizoidal hyphae. So by this way, the rhizoidal hyphae performs three functions. First one, it is the anchorage. Anchorage means they are holding the thallus of Rhizopus inside the substratum. Then the second one, it is the enzyme secretion, and third, it is the absorption of the digested food items. With this we have completed rhizoidal hyphae. Now we will study the second hyphae, that is the stolons. So these are the figures where we can see the stoloniferous hypha. Here also we can see stolon. As you can see here, stolons are the aerial branches which grow horizontally on the substratum. The stolons are slightly arced, as you can observe here, and form connecting link between the clusters of the rhizoidal hyphae. Here also you can see that this is the stolon and this is the connecting link between clusters of rhizoidal hyphae. The stolons, when touches to the substratum, it forms afferent node-like structure. And from this node-like structure, another stolon and sporangiophores are produced. At the upper region and at the lower region, rhizoidal hyphae are produced. So this was all about stolon. Now we will study the third hypha, that is sporangiophore. So this is the actual photograph of the sporangiophore under microscope. This is the sporangium and these are the rhizoids. And this is the sketch of Rhizopus. As you can see here, sporangiophores are unbranched aerial hyphae producing sporangia at the tips. The sporangiophores, they are exact opposite to the rhizoidal branches. As the sporangiophores, they are growing against the force of the gravity, they are considered as negatively geotrophic. Dear student, with this we have completed 3 hyphae of Rhizopus. Now we will study nutrition of Rhizopus. So this is the actual photograph of Rhizopus and this is the sketch. Dear student, as you know that all fungi are achlorophyllous, here also the Rhizopus is achlorophyllous and so therefore it cannot perform the function of the photosynthesis. It cannot prepare their own food material and so it shows heterotrophic mode of nutrition. That means it depends upon other organism, living or dead, for its nutrition. Rhizopus grows on dead and decaying organic matter and hence it is known as saprophyte. As you can observe here, the rhizoidal hypha penetrate the substratum. This is the substratum. Here the substratum is the braid. So as you can observe here, these rhizoidal hypha penetrate inside the substratum and secrete extracellular enzymes which convert complex food substratum into simple sugars. Later on, these simple sugars, they are absorbed by the rhizoidal hyphae and they are circulated throughout the mycelium. So by this way, the digestion, it is outside the cell and so described as extracellular digestion. Dear students, now we will study the systematic position of Rhizopus. Division is Eumycophyta because fungi with definite cell wall throughout all the stages of vegetative development and hence they are true fungi and so included in division Eumycophyta. Then class is Phycomycete because the mycelium is aseptate. Sporangia contain indefinite number of spores. Zygote is formed by fusion of 2 gametic nuclei and develops thick wall, as well as zygote remains dormant for a long period. Subclass is Aflagellate. As the name itself indicates, flagellated reproductive bodies are not formed. Cell wall is composed of fungal chitin. Asexual reproduction is by means of aplanospores and sexual reproduction is isogamous and aplanogametic. Order is Mucorales because mycelium is capable of indefinite growth, as well as sporangia is globular and borne on the sporangiophores. Family is Muceraceae because unbranched sporangiophores are observed. And genus is Rhizopus because there is presence of rhizoidal hyphae and stolons. So dear student, with this we have completed systematic position and thallus structure of Rhizopus. In next video, we are going to study reproduction in Rhizopus. Thank you.